Great. Thanks, Mark. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the rescheduled, I guess, February 2023 meeting of the Oak Hills Park Authority. With schedules and scheduling being what they are, we had to push a couple of times. And so we're meeting in March, and we'll keep our regular March meeting schedules allowing. So that's the call to order. I think the other thing to do is take the roll call and of OHPA members, and I'll go in the order of folks that I see on the screen. So first, just note you're here by raising your hand or saying present. First is Denise Brown.
Here.
Rich Dellinger.
Here.
Gary Leeds.
Here.
Jennifer McAllister.
Here.
And Joe Androsky is here. Alan Dutton is not present, and I don't think will be joining. And TJ Trimboli is not present and may be joining later. But with 5, we have a quorum, so we can proceed on the agenda. And the next thing on the agenda is the acceptance of minutes from the 1/23 special meeting, the January 23rd special meeting. I have an opportunity to look them over. I think they look pretty good. Maybe 1 or 2 grammar or spelling things, but I'm not going to spend time on that. But does anyone else have any comments on the minutes from the January meeting?
Yes. On the 3rd page, under C, report of the controller, the 2nd paragraph, at the end of the 1st line, it says 59%. That should be 50%. And on the next line, it gets put into a reserve account. It should be reserve, not revenue. That's it for me.
Okay.
I had one other thing, Joe, for you.
Yeah, sure.
Under the tennis committee report, I know Denise gave it, but I think there's a sentence in there on the last paragraph. It was about these some of our tennis friends. The sentence says they hired an architect to design a pergola, but they did not like the design. It's actually not true. It's they planned to hire a architect, but that did not work out. So I don't know if you could remove the whole sentence if it's easier. I don't know. It's just a little factual issue.
Sure. And I don't think it's core to the spirit of the update. So
No.
I think what we can do is just strike that sentence. They hired an architect to design a pergola, but they did not like the design. Just
Yeah,
strike it entirely.
That's fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments, edits to the minutes? If not, I'll make a motion to approve the 123 minutes. Do I have a second?
I think you should say there, accept the minutes as amended.
No, as amended, of course, yes.
Mhm.
So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I'll
Do I
second.
have a second? And Rich seconds. Any opposed? Any abstain? Hearing none, we'll say those minutes are approved as amended. And moving on the agenda to public comment. Mark, do we have anyone in
Yes.
for
There are
Okay.
2 people.
2 people?
So Charlie, you're up first. You should be good to go, Charlie, if you unmute yourself.
Yep. Hi.
Okay. Just
Thanks.
please state your name, your address, and please limit to 3 minutes and try to keep it to things that are already on the agenda.
All right. Charlie Brennan, 71B Riverside Avenue, Norwalk. I just wanted to say 2 things. One, I want to say thank you to the authority for working with us on the Golf Genius implementation. Both the men's and the ladies associations are working hard to get our schedules in place, and things are moving along, and I think we're moving in the right direction. And we're going to work with Paul and his staff, and hopefully we can really make this a great experience for everybody. But again, I wanted to say thank you to everybody for getting that through. And the other thing was, when I went to try to find the login for the meeting, it wasn't on the agenda on the front page. I had to go in and find a Zoom link on another meeting and then go in through the back door. So maybe next month you can look and make sure the Zoom link is on the actual front page where the meeting agenda is.
We don't actually,
Well, somebody puts it up there. It's on all the other meetings. So, and there, I mean, my wife's in a meeting right now and the Zoom link for that was in the meeting agenda. So the agenda should have something in there that says go here to get in.
Mark,
So,
we'll try to figure out how to make that work.
yep. So
Okay.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
okay, this is the second person. Whoever's there from the public, can you please unmute yourself?
The phone number ending 9245, if you'd like to make a public comment, please either raise your hand or unmute yourself. Going once, going twice. Okay. I'm going to assume they're listening in and don't want to make a comment. All right. With that, we'll close public comment. Thank you, Charlie, for your comments, and we'll try to adjust that on the agenda. Item number 4 on the agenda, report of the chair. I'm gonna keep it very brief and say it's winter. There's not much business going on. There's some OpEx or CapEx development going and planning, leave it there. I don't think there's too much to discuss, and I'd like to try to get into executive session briskly tonight, if that's possible. So I'll close the report of the chair there and move right into management reports. First being from Paul Alexander, the golf professional. Paul, you can take it away.
Okay, good evening. Thank you. So now that we're in March, spring is hopefully around the corner. We've had a very mild winter so far, and most recently an above average amount of golfers at Oak Hills. In the last 5 weeks, we've had more than 1,000 golf rounds. And on 3 different days, we averaged more than 100 golfers. Golfers are playing off temporary greens and tee boxes. Carts are not available, and we're charging $20 to walk. We will do so until we probably open up the golf course with greens and tees. Golf shop hours are 9:30 to 3, and the course opens at 10 every day. All 2023 golf schedules for tournaments, golf clinics, and golf schools are all complete. All outing contracts have been sent out, and we have, I believe, more than half back, the deposits. We lost 2 outings this year, but we replaced them with 2 very good new outings. Our annual passes this year, we sold 44. So that's definitely down from the previous 2 years. We were limiting them to 50. The Oak Hill Men's Association and the Women's Golf Association, myself and another staff member have been taking tutorials and webinars for the use of Golf Genius's Premier Tournament software package, which we upgraded this year for 2023 member events, outings, advertising. And we're all really impressed, thankful and excited about the upgrade. And it's really going to help Oak Hills Park into the future and complement our events, giving them more of a professional look and reduce much of the time that we spent preparing and scoring golf events. We're going to be able to build online league registrations and payments, incredibly advanced email and mobile communications with golfers, web portals for all our tournament results and stats, and a lot of Oak Hills Park branding on all the materials that we're going to send out to all the golfers. So it's really going to be a big change from previous years. We've also got ourselves back on Facebook and Instagram, which is really exciting. We've been locked out and it was a difficult process, but we're back on there. So we'll be doing some good advertising through our public golfers. And at the moment, we presently have an inside golf staff of 5. We only bring in a starter when we need one. I'm trying to secure some new hires for the golf shop staff because we lost 3 golf shop staff members including Bennett Dial, who was really influential to us last 2 years, or even last 3 years with the golf shop operation. And lastly, I got the great opportunity to attend PGA Tour event 3 out of 4 days last week, and it was very inspirational and just great to see the world's best players right in front. That's really all I have, being middle of the winter, if anyone has any questions. That's about it.
All right. Thanks, Paul. Anyone have questions for Paul? You have another couple of seconds for opportunity. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Next up is Jim, Superintendent Report.
Okay, hey everybody. I was good with the course. Yada yada yada. Same stuff as last time. There's people playing on the greens and tees where they can't be seen, but that kind of comes with the territory. And being on temps, people are probably a little upset that they book on Golf Now for a cheap price and then come to find out that our greens are not open. Golf Now doesn't advertise that. As far as capital projects, the rental house siding job is moving along so well that it's done. We did incur some extra expenses as we went through it. The electrical service pole that was bringing the service to the house from the street was pulling off the house, so we had to replace that. And in the process, as they stripped the siding there, we discovered that an entire side of the wall was rotten up to 10 feet up from the ground. And so we had to replace that. It wasn't too costly. I think it was reasonable. We also needed to replace some rotten wood around the garage doors. And it turns out we had a lot of holes in a couple of our long gutters. So we had to have those replaced. And in that process, we fixed up all the others, put the old ones back, and got all new downspouts. So that's a little add-on, but I think we're fairly safe as far as the cost on that. The kitchen is pretty much finished. I think that there's one connection left, or two connections left for the plumbing. And the only thing that's left to do inside the house inside the apartment is carpeting. We will be getting some favorable pricing on that, I believe. And as the halfway house bathrooms are done, finished those up today, made those final connections. And it'll be an improvement. It's still what they are. I mean, we painted them, we put new lights in them. That's a big difference. We put vanities in there with mirrors so everybody can look good at the 10th tee. and it is an improvement. And the toilets, I have to say, we have one at my house and I have to get another. They don't clog. So hopefully there's a heck of a lot less service calls to the halfway house this year. The OSHA compliance is going well. We have finished our job safety analyses, which was a hugely time-consuming project. But now I'm going to submit that to the consultant that's helping us and see if he has any changes that he wants to make. And that just leaves, let's see, Wednesday we go for fire extinguisher training to the firehouse, and it also leaves up in question whether we need to do respiratory training and for wearing a respirator. We'll see what happens there. The jury's still out on that one. Opening time is around the corner. I'm hoping in a week or so. I just want to see some nights regularly over the freezing point, and with growth just around the corner, I'm ready to go. And it should be brisk business because I can't believe how many people are coming to play on temporary greens and tees. I mean, it can't be very satisfying, but if it is winter, so
Yeah, Jim, I heard yesterday there was a full tee sheet.
yeah, it's nuts, the amount of people out there.
Yeah, 91, I think.
Wow.
Weather's nice, so.
Hey, Jim, a question on the house repair.
Sure.
I assume you did this anyway, but the cause of the rot, was that water, not termites? And did we get clear margins when we replaced all the woods?
It was water, and right now I have the Mini over there. The soil around that part of the house was too high. So with any rain event and any kind of snow or whatever, obviously water is going to climb right up that wall, and it is water. There's no worry about bugs or anything like that.
Jim, I have another question about the rental house. When you were nice enough to give me a tour of it. I'm just curious, did the outside door from the kitchen remain? Did you keep that outside door from the kitchen? And did you do anything with that kind of a screened in area?
Good question. We did remove the outside door, and we actually replaced an old beat up green door at the front of the house. Makes it a lot more presentable, and the screen porches are just about finished, both of them. I mean, it was a much needed project. I decided, since we did so well on the kitchen, I think we did well on the kitchen, that it was worth the money to finish the outside of the house, and they're almost done.
Thank
It
you.
looks pretty good. I mean, the porches are going to outlast the house, unfortunately. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
One, Jim,
Yeah,
you said are you looking for toilets, you said?
no,
Oh, I thought you said you had to get another toilet.
we
Okay.
put new ones. I do at my house, but we put new ones in up at the halfway house, and we have the same model in our house. And with my kids, well, it does not clog.
No, I have 2 toilets in my garage. I'm trying to get rid of them.
Used toilets, great.
They're in good condition, but yes.
Oh,
they are
and
used.
the tennis, I did buy the material to get that that opening that in the soffit closed up.
Oh, yeah.
So
The
that'll
screen?
happen soon as well.
Great, greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
The birds will be disappointed, but
Yes, they will. All right.
Jim, just one question about the warm temperatures, and then we had a couple of days or nights of pretty cold and then warm again. Are we getting growth that's getting then frozen and affected and killed, and then is that going to affect growth in the spring?
It can. I mean, if we have a lot of water and then it drops into the teens, that's a really dangerous situation. I mean, when the ice freezes right on that grass, the grass becomes so succulent and waterlogged that it just crystallizes, freezes right up. And when it thaws, it just, the cells explode and plant is dead. So that's what got us last year. That's one type of winter kill, but that's the most common, I believe. But
Okay.
So far we're doing all right. I mean, let's see what happens.
Okay, something to look out for.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else questions for Jim? If none, we can move on to the report of the controller from Mark Gartner.
Okay, thank you, Joe. As I wrote in the attachment to the agenda, I'm going to begin I wrote it incorrectly. The FY24 fiscal budget, 23 budget's been done for a year. So I'll start on that. We've paid down $89,000 through the end of January for the city debt. And as Paul touched on before, 2023 memberships, both discounted D cards and annual passes, began selling on January 1. And in addition to the annual passes being a little under budget, our ID cards, I'm seeing them sell. They're selling well, but they are under budget for both January and February. But one positive is that at least I only see everything that goes through the online store. And I've been seeing an above normal amount of new members joining. So I don't know if it's going to be on top of the same base who are just taking their time to renew. It'll happen, it's a little too early. Maybe by end of April, you really have a better feel. If that's the case, that's great. But if it's new members replacing people who are coming back, that is definitely a possibility as well. So too early to gauge, but would like to see the numbers pick up a little bit. And that has caused a little bit of a underage in revenue for the month of January. Just real quick, I'll go through a couple of the numbers. Year to date through January, that's seven months for fiscal year. Our revenues are $100,000 over budget and expenses $57,000 under budget, which is great. And again, January revenues sagged due to the low ID sales. And year to date, then that makes our year to date net operating income $158,000 over budget. The number there is $334,000 in total. And the good thing is that our cash balance as well. We ended with $444,000 plus the $24,000 for the capital reserve, which we went over last month. And that's about $153,000 over budget. So very much in line, both cash there and the income statement are very, very similarly paced. And as Jim mentioned, very busy with capital expenditures. This is the time to do it in the winter. So we're doing all right.
Good.
Any financial questions?
Yeah, I just have one, or maybe it's a question for Paul or whatever, but I get stuff from Richter Park about renewing, your annual passes and those things. I haven't seen anything from us. Has that been going out and I just not on the list, or how do we tell the public about renewing their annual passes and those types of things?
I would say, well, we got to make sure you're on the list. Some people have been knocked off the list, but I would say January, I sent out emails, waited a few weeks, and another one end of January, one early February. So every few weeks, we're sending a couple. If you hadn't got one, I'll make sure our marketing company has your email address. And then obviously we'll start up with Facebook, which will be great. Instagram, Facebook.
Paul, what do you mean by some people have been knocked off the list? Are they people that bought last year?
No, I was told we had the problem with Alan Dutton and maybe somebody else, but I was told for whatever reason, the marketing company sends it to people and it goes into some box more than once. They take them off the list as somewhat, they perceive them as inactive. That's what I was told. Even some people in our golf shop, I try to get every employee on all those emails. Some people have told me they weren't receiving them.
Wow.
Is this something that Golf Genius will do in the future?
I think we would use both, but we definitely have that marketing company. We'll send mass emails, and then the Golf Genius, I think probably primarily be for people, playing golf and scoring and looking at our events and things like that.
But wouldn't that also address people who go on our outings and all the people who play?
Yeah. I think we're going to do a lot of marketing through Golf Genius. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I signed up through Golf Genius for the Men's Association. Does that mean I'm on the list for marketing material?
I would say you'd be on the list for the marketing material first, and then because they're growing this program with Golf Genius, I'm sure you'll start seeing things in the next week or two.
Okay.
Through Golf Genius.
If I remember in the past, we have normally promoted it. Like sometimes we even had Christmas promotions for the ID passes.
Yeah, we did that.
In the past, I think we really did promote the heck out of it. Like come by it in January and February and you get a lot, like a $10 off or something like that. And that was for the reasons for the big sales then. And now we haven't done that. So maybe they're just going to get it when they come in because they don't see a benefit of saving any money by getting it in January and February.
It's also on the website. Anybody goes to the website, there's a pop-up right there. Oh yeah, we've been having, sending them for sure. And obviously now as it gets warmer and people are thinking about golf, we send them a little more. It's not so much out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, just check, make sure I'm on the list.
Mhm.
if that's
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff.
I'm just curious, how many golf members are on the list when that goes out? About how many golfers are would get those emails?
I could check through our marketing company. One thing that was great was I spoke to Eddie Ruiz today, our past professional, and I think he only had 7,000 people at that time. One thing I did was take all my people who signed up for lessons, whether it was through Darien Parks and Rec, junior clinics, anything, and they incorporated the whole list into our mass email campaign, and I think we're up to 12,000,
Wow.
11,000, but I could double check.
And how many ID cards do we issue?
Typically, Mark would know 1,200 a year, 11 or 1,200 a year.
That's about right.
So about 10% of what's on the list. Okay.
And you got to remember, a lot of those people on the list are taking lessons. They're not really ready for 18 holes,
Yeah.
But they do have family members, kids and husbands and wives. But I do think, season's coming with Facebook, Instagram, and our Golf Genius. We'll definitely be able to put the name out there a lot.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Any other questions for Paul?
Me.
I'm sorry, for Mark. Paul was just speaking. Any other questions for Mark?
I have an answer to, I got an email from, it's Randy Avery was the number that we tried to get to speak before. He's just listening as a participant.
I see. Okay. Okay, then let's proceed with the agenda and go into committee reports. And the first is tennis committee, and that's Denise Brown.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Denise.
So see, we met with Jeff Goki. Me and Rich had met with him back on the 14th of February. And we talked about various different things. Let's see, we told him that what we're working on to probably do for the late spring, hopefully early summer, is to finish the walkways. We're going to finish 2 walkways to both the courts, 1 to each court. And we had a whole spreadsheet that we showed him of our accomplishments for the year. So we wanted to let him know that we were bringing in money and how we raised the money and everything, because I know that he kind of knows, but wanted him to be aware that, we're constantly working to raise money and bring it in. So he was pretty much, he was kind of impressed because he hadn't really seen anything happening besides maybe our dinner that we had in May. So that was one of the things that we had talked about. And I think what he did was, when we play on the weekends from May through the end of August, we pay Jeff back the money that we take in when we have our weekend drop-in clinics. And so what Jeff offered to do is let us keep all that money now. So we'll probably be taking in it's not a huge amount of money, but it'll be maybe around $100 every weekend, which will be contributed to the supporters account. So all that money will be brought back to us. And so I think that was kind of his way of looking at how we were raising money, that he thought he would kind of contribute to it too. So it was very nice of him to offer that. Just a little bit extra. We figured maybe we'd bring in around $1,500 to maybe $1,800 through those extra money donated to us. So that was a nice little perk. He is raising his pass fees by 10%. So for instance, the seniors from 95 will be 105, residents of Norwalk 150 to 165, and then out of towners from 250 to 275. He hadn't raised them in quite a while, so seeing how the cost of everything is going up, it's not too drastic. So I think hopefully people won't be complaining too much. All that money does go to Jeff. None of that money will go to Oak Hills. So And we did talk to him about some of the things that we had concerns about. The water, for instance, on the courts, you know, tennis players are having to run into the office to grab more water from this facility that they had in the office. And that was really pretty difficult, you know, when you're in the middle of a match, taking out the time to go out, fill out your water thermos. So he's going to do something where he puts some kind of fountain outside and it's going to be activated where, you know, you just put your bottle underneath and it fills up by a sensor. So I think that's a really nice idea. I'm not sure. I think, Jim, he's thinking of putting it out where the hose is on the outside.
I was
I
gonna
think-
ask you about that while you were, you know.
Yeah,
while it was
that's
your
where
turn.
I mean, because there's a hook up there.
I'm meeting him, or somebody on Thursday or Friday, the plumber probably. And I think that
Okay.
there used to be a water fountain in there.
Mm.
Because
Well, there used to be like just a regular water fountain. Yeah,
right, but
Right.
I believe there's an electrical outlet in there as well. So, I mean, that's really the spot that will work for it very well. Unless they want to
Okay.
put it inside. If they want to put it inside, well,
we wanted, well, we kind of stressed the fact that we'd like to have it outside.
yeah,
I mean, instead of running in and out of the office, it's just easier to kind of, even though it's still leaving the court to go fill up your water, at
Right.
least it's a little more convenient, I think, if he does
Right.
do that. Yeah, okay. So that's a good thing. We talked to him about some of the issues that he's not really doing with the lease, and one of them is he's not offering any weekend social events, round robins, any tournaments or anything. And he kind of just threw that back at us and he said that he kind of feels it's up to the Friends of Tennis to do it. So, and I know that what he's thinking in the back of his mind is that he has to put a coach on to run those events, which means he has to pay out more money. So I think that is his thought process. He said he'd see what he would do. It's not like he turned it down totally. You know, it is in the lease, but he's not really all that gung ho about offering these events. And so maybe we'll try to work with him and get something going once a month or something, at least more than he has done in the past, which was nothing. So he did say he's going to give us a current certificate of insurance, and he is going to hand me some kind of financial statement of what he took in last year. So those two things he said they'll be coming. And one of the things that we talked about in our Friends of Tennis meeting is that I've been working with Jim. He got us a good quote on redoing the fencing and painting the poles and the deuce courts, which comes into around $22,000. And that's also to replace, we're going to move two of the doors. We're going to put a door, was what we want to do, is put a door in the corner of the deuce courts and then put another door in the corner of the 6 bay courts. And so the machine that we use to run back and forth and clean the courts from every morning will just run through those doors in the back and won't have to be on the patio and go back and forth over the stones. And the machine will live in the corner back there because it's a terrible eyesore and it kind of is always sitting in the front. So that's one of the things that we would definitely like to do. Especially if we decide to do the courts over. So Jim, you saw the emails going back and forth. I talked to the,
Gesm,
what is his name?
Gesm.
Okay. I didn't speak with him. I spoke to his assistant, but
Okay.
you know, she's very good at getting back and getting answers. So one of the things I'd like to propose is the money that we have set aside for the courts for the budget that we have for our money is around $22,000, 20,000. I'm not sure of the exact figure, but we would like to go ahead and have the deuce courts redone before the season opens in May. It's about a 2-week job, weather permitting, that everything is okay. You know, I think we have a good quote and Jim's worked with him. He's done the fencing for Jim, he did a job for you in the fall,
Yeah, behind the 14th green.
and you were happy with that.
Yeah, it came out well.
Okay, because the other quotes we have received running around 25 to 28,000. So I think coming under a little, you know, the budget is better if we could use this person, as long as, you know, Jim, you feel he's a good person.
He
You were
is definitely-
satisfied.
He's a good
Okay.
person.
So, you know, I'd like to put the motion in that we could possibly use the funds that have been set aside for us for the courts. I don't know, you know, the process. I don't know if it's just something you and I would talk about, Mark, or everybody needs to discuss.
Well, the capital budget, I think, Mark, is already approved, right?
Yes, but I think generally speaking, yeah, I do think it is 22,000, but don't hold me to that right now. It's
20
either 20 or 22. It is
23.5, I believe.
23.5. Okay. Yes, we have put it in there. It's in the approved budget, but generally speaking, before we go ahead and spend it on anything, there would be a discussion with the authority, I believe, just to make sure everyone's in agreement with how
So
it's
it was
spent.
budgeted at a dollar amount, but not appropriated to any specific project. Is that
Correct.
Right?
Just
So this would be an
tenants.
appropriation discussion, but I mean, it's just to get buy-in. There's no specific approval or anything. It's just awareness and buy-in, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, I think that makes sense to me to proceed that way.
Okay.
And I haven't seen a specific list of capital needs for tennis in a while, but I mean, is this Denise and maybe Jim? Is this what you'd call the most urgent and important? And
I would say that the fencing is a top priority and will make a large difference in people's impression of the place. Absolutely.
Yeah, it will definitely show that we're, you know, working on improving the facilities. Plus our money that we've raised with that's sitting in the Friends of Tennis, we're going to use that to complete the walkways.
Mhm.
You know, we have about 20,000 plus sitting in there, and the walkways are going to cost around 13,000. So we're going to use that money to complete both of the walkways. And then we have money sitting there to use for, if we're going to do some plantings. I'm not quite sure, but
Sure.
we're definitely going to do the walkways.
But the fences would fulfill kind of our commitment under improvements under the tennis contract, right?
Yes.
It would fulfill half of it.
Just over
Right.
2
Yeah.
years.
Not all of it. Sorry, I didn't mean all of it, but it would be accretive.
That
towards
money
that
would be
goal.
used, the money that had been put aside to date, that
Mhm.
would be used up for the courts.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And yes.
Do you have formal proposals from people or how,
Ye-
what do you have?
Yes, I do. I have, yes, I have formal proposals, written proposals.
Do those include any extras for overruns or unforeseens? Or is it just by the job?
Well, the quote looks like it came in by the job. So he's actually thrown in a little bit of a bonus because he didn't quote us to put in the new gate. And so he was only charging us maybe about $500 more to put in an extra gate that we wanted him to quote originally, that he had left out. So I think he's trying to work with us to get this particular, job. So overruns meaning over time, meaning if it's a time or if it's a material expense that's gone over budget,
Right.
something like that?
If they ran into anything that's going to cost more money, there is nothing built into those quotes for that, but it's fairly straightforward. I mean, maybe the only thing that could cost extra money is him finding out that some of the posts are bad and need to be replaced, which, could be a matter of a few $100s or something like that.
But it sounds like even the amount that's budgeted exceeds by about that much, Jim, for a couple of those occurrences to happen.
Yeah, it's really close. I
It's
believe
close,
it's
but
really
the
close.
budget is a little higher than the quote, so that's
I
a
hope
good
so.
sign. Yeah, right, 23.5 versus 22 even.
Just to clarify for the fence, I mean, are they going to reuse the same post and repaint them and just put the new fence up?
Correct.
That's the plan?
Yep.
And on a project like that of this scale, I mean, I don't know, what is the requirement for the authority? Do we have to get 3 quotes or something like that? Or can you go ahead at this and use someone that you've used before that has a good reputation?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's no
Quotes.
specific script, but I do think, you know, a couple, at least more than one quote
I think,
is
Denise,
advisable.
you got
And
one, and
Well, I mean, I have 2 quotes specific to the 2 courts, and then I have 3 quotes for the whole premise of the whole of the 8 courts. So I mean, I've got multiple quotes. And 2 specifically that just deal with the deuce courts. So, I mean, I have multiple quotes.
I think it might be helpful to send them around to the authority members just for informational purposes.
Okay.
And, you know, worst case scenario, we meet again in a couple of weeks
10 days.
and authorize it there. But if we're all generally in agreement, I think we can just kind of make the appropriation decision via email.
Okay. I'll get the quotes out this week to the authority members.
Okay, but and Rich, just to finish my response on your question, you know, I would go with fewer quotes if we're going with a vendor that's a repeat vendor that has done good work in the past. I would be more comfortable going with fewer quotes because of that.
One note to you, Denise and Rich, the tank is back to normal. We were able to do it ourselves. So, you know, it is covered up now,
Oh, that's good.
Thank
No,
you.
no septic seepage.
right?
Okay. Basically, that's everything. The only other thing that I have to report, which isn't really much more information, is that we don't know about the possible new pergola that that this other committee may be working on to present to us as a project for the shading. So that's just in the future. Oh, and the other thing that I was looking at, Rich and I were looking at, is possibly putting up one of those very large umbrellas that kind of is like 13 by 14 feet for shade on the patio. We really don't know. I've gotten quotes for awnings. I've gotten quotes for, well, we don't have a quote for the pergola. So that's sort of just something we're discussing and trying to figure out what is the good way to go about shading the patio.
And just one thing, I think it's really important about the paths, that whenever we get the picture, whatever drawing, well, I think it'd be good if we had the fence up first before we connected it, just to make sure that we go to the right place. And I'd like Jim to just see it before, just to make sure he's comfortable with the way it's drawn and what we're planning to do it, even for the course 1 to 8, to make sure he thinks it makes sense.
You're talking about the fencing and the stone walk? What are you talking about?
I'm already talking about
Everything?
the paths to the course. I mean, however the path they take. However, I'm not sure. I didn't we get a picture yet from the contractor, but once we do, I'd like Jim to see it, just to make sure he's comfortable with the way they're doing it.
Sure, great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
actually, we're meeting on Friday, Jim, if you wanna, no, Thursday. We're meeting the people who are going to look at the paths again and give us an updated quote, if you wanna
When
come Thursday.
Jim's in that loop, just so Jim's in the loop. I didn't know if he was in the loop.
All right, I'll make sure that the chain is open
Oh, thank
Thursday
you.
morning.
Yeah, we have an appointment 1:30.
Okay.
That's kind of it for the moment. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Denise. Good report, good discussion, everybody. Next up on the agenda is the restaurant committee. Alan is not here, and that will be discussed a little bit more detail in executive session. And after that is supporters of Oak Hills Park, and we have Jerry Crowley here to give an update.
Hello, everybody.
Jerry?
I'll make it very quick. All the thank you letters and acknowledgement of donations were sent out at the tail end of January. And I heard back from Rich that he got his and he was happy. And I haven't heard from anybody else. So I'm assuming everything is fine. We sent out about 32 letters.
Yeah, I
Thank
got
you very
mine,
much.
Jerry. Thank you
good.
very much.
Welcome. And that's it.
Great. Thank you, Jerry. Any questions for Jerry on supporters?
Are you the new secretary, Jerry? I just curious, is there another person going to replace, are you going to be the main person?
You do Elsa?
Yeah.
Replacing Elsa? Well, I'm filling in for Elsa now because her husband's quite sick. And she couldn't, with her other commitments, she didn't have time to do it. So I volunteered to do it this year. And I'll acknowledge, thank you for your offer to help out. We had a small window there because we had to wait till after the end of the year and had to get them out by the end of January. So it happened. Thank you, Mark. He had all the records available to me and a little coaching.
And thank you for doing all that work, Jerry. I appreciate that. Everyone does here.
So, stay tuned. We'll see what Elsa wants to do going forward. We haven't done anything.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jerry. Nature Advisory Committee. I don't think we have anyone on from there, so no report there.
Joe, just real quick, we're all gonna meet. All the members of the Nature Committee are gonna meet on, I think, Tuesday, the 21st of this month, with Audrey, and try to get a quick game plan going forward.
Great. That's a kind of a leadership succession discussion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay, I didn't hear of anything that we had in old business or new business, but if there are any proposals people would like to make, this would be the time. And I'm not hearing any or seeing any motion towards it, so I will say that item 7, old business, new business, is closed. And that brings us to the executive session, where we're going to discuss the food and beverage license agreement and tennis contract discussions, and have tennis contract discussions. So that will pause the public session, and just for Oak Hills Park Authority members and Randy Avery, who just joined, we have to use the other link that was sent out just a couple of minutes after or before, I can't remember, after the session, the public session link. So it's the email that says tonight OHPA executive session, in order to get in there. So Mark, I think you have to start that session. I don't know if you already have.
It's already started, and I guess I'll pause this one right now then.
Okay. Yep, we can do that. Paul, Jim, thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
And
Thanks, guys.
then all the OHPA members. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We finished executive session. There was no vote required coming out of the discussions that we had. And so the last order of business would be for me to solicit a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second?
I second.
And I think with that, we're not going to have any opposed. So let's adjourn until our next meeting. It's scheduled for March 16th. We'll work. I'll email independently for scheduling to make sure that will work. And if not, we'll have to move it around a little bit.
All right,
Okay.
everyone have a nice night.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Well,